Is Raleigh actually affordable? It truly depends on what do you deem as affordable to you. However, I'll do you a favor and compare the cost of living in Raleigh to the national average. But you'll definitely want to hear how to compare the cost of living in Raleigh to the city that you're living in right now. If you're new to me in this YouTube channel, we talk about everything you need to know about Raleigh, North Carolina. So make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out. But also, I am a licensed realtor here, so if you do need any assistance or have any questions about relocating to this area, just reach out. So like I promised, comparing the cost of living in North Carolina to the national average, if we take a look at Raleigh, we can see that Raleigh is actually 2% below the national average. And if you're still here, I got a bonus for you. If we look at Durham, we can see that Durham is the same as the national average, which is very shocking. And then of course, if we look at Chapel Hill, we can see that Chapel Hill is 4% higher than the national average. So if you're deciding between one of those metros, there's a real starting point of where you should be looking. But we're definitely not going to stop there. Let's go ahead and check out industry specific so you can see what the cost is going to look like. And the first one on the list is the cost of housing. And I figured I'll do you guys a little bit more favors so that you guys could really understand this wholeheartedly. And so I broke it down by the type of home it is. First off, if we look at single family homes in Wake County specifically, that is about $522,000, and that is of course as of this recording. Everything is going to be as of this recording because there's a lot that can change. But if we go ahead and check out Durham County, that will be $435,000. Then we can go ahead and check out Chatham County, which is where Pittsboro is, and that is a whopping $625,000. So all of those numbers were in retrospect to the single family homes. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the townhomes in retrospect to the specific counties. If we look at Wake County first, it is $360,000. Then we go ahead and check out Durham, it is $381,000. And last but not least, Chatham County is $424,000. And honestly, those numbers are great to know, but I really want you to see how has this area, or at least those areas, been performing year over year, so you could really see whether things are on an incline or a decline, because then you'll be able to understand and kind of plan properly on what your next move should be. So if we take a look at Wake County, we can see that it's actually been on a decline year over year. Of course, after hitting those highs, you gotta cool off at some point. But I will say Durham and Chatham County are both doing better year over year because they're both increasing. So now that you have all of that information in regards to single family homes, townhomes, and those different counties, let's take a look. How do they compare to the national average? Which if we take a look here, we're looking at $382,000 as the national average for the median sales price. But if you're looking at those numbers, you're like, whoa, let's take a step back here. Don't worry, I got you covered here, because if we take a look at the rentals in the same counties, Wake, Durham, and Chatham, again, we can see that the median for Wake County specifically is $2,000. And then Durham is about $1,800 and Chatham is about $1,900. I will say Durham and Chatham County, they don't have nearly as much rentals as they do in the Raleigh area, so you're definitely going to want to keep that in mind. But let's just say you have an entirely different area, or you want more information on a specific area. You see that number that is popping up right there. Make sure to give me a call, shoot me a text, email, day, night, heck, maybe even on the weekends, and just let me know which area it is that you're looking at and that you need more information on to maybe help you rent, to maybe even help you buy or sell, whatever the case may be. And so if you're thinking about purchasing, this piece here is going to be a little bit more important than if you were looking to rent, because now we're going to talk about property taxes. Of course, that's a cost that does come with home ownership. And we can go ahead and take a look at the tax rate specifically to the county, and where you could see how has it been performing over the past 4 years or so that this chart does share with us. And even if you're not looking at Wake County, Durham, Orange, Johnston, or even Chatham County, all these different counties that they are in town, this entire list is going to cover all of those, and you can actually see when they are actually going to reevaluate next, which is most important, because now you'll know if they're reevaluating, then that means 9 times out of 10 your taxes are going to go up. So that is something to keep in mind. But also don't forget that these are county, and depending on what city or town that you're going to be in, you'll have maybe a separate one, which will be in addition to the one that you see here. Again, I don't want to go to the city specifically, so if you do want to know that, you can either search it up or reach out to me and just ask a simple question. But moving along, the cost of utilities. Now this is a topic here. I'm not going to share with you guys an exact number of what you're expected to spend every month, because it's really hard for me to determine that, and because most of it is household related, personal preference, how large is your household, your consumption. So I'm not going to give you a number. If you want a number, you can go to any other video that does share the cost of living and they share whatever number that is there. You can use that. But instead, I'll give you what the utilities or at least the electricity rate is like. So therefore, you can kind of get an idea of what you're looking at in comparison to the national average. And something to add on here, if you didn't know, North Carolina is a regulated state. So there aren't going to be many providers that are going to be in competition with one another. In fact, you'll probably have not even more than 3 to really choose from, depending of course where you are, but you probably won't have many choices to choose from to determine who is going to provide that electricity to your home. So you kind of have a monopoly here. Unlike your Connecticut, New York, or even California, where they have so many different choices that they can choose from. And honestly, it's now the companies competing with each other, where now you're just looking at the provider like, all right, just give me the service. So far, we've covered the cost of housing, property taxes, and utilities. Now we're gonna move on to transportation. And again, I'm not gonna give you guys gas prices. I mean, those things change all the time. It's so hard to even keep up myself. One thing I will share though, and this is a story prior to 2020, when I moved here to North Carolina from Connecticut, I will say I was enjoying those prices. They were a lot less. Now they're probably the same. I don't really quite honestly know what the prices are up north at the current moment, but I will say when I first got here, they were much better. It took me nothing to fill up my tank, but now times have changed. After 2020, everything in the world just disrupted itself. So that's something that I do want to point out. It's, gas prices were better. Now they're just doing whatever they got to do. And honestly, I could say the same thing for car insurance. So that's another thing that I could say, moving down south. Now, this is of course going to depend on who you are and what your driving record look like, all that sort. But for myself, it was a little bit better getting here to North Carolina and having, my car insurance not be nearly as much as what it was when I was in Connecticut. But let's say you don't even have to worry about gas or car insurance because you just don't drive. You live off public transportation, which is fine. Public transportation here, don't forget, is not the best. And at the current moment, they are actually not charging any fares for any individual. And that's only gonna stay like that up until June of 2024. Then I think things are going to change for the most part. And honestly, the prices that were there previously, I'd be very shocked to see it. But if it does stay the same and prices do not make a change, for a monthly pass, I believe you were paying about $40 for the month to do unlimited rides, to do whatever you got to do. So if you are an individual who does not need or have a car or car insurance, then that's something that you can live off of as well. And if we take a look now at groceries, instead of giving you guys a number of what you're going to spend every month, I actually found this groceries tracker that WRAL puts out on a weekly basis. I think is a good point for anybody that's looking to see how much groceries are to use it, because it's essentially going to share with you the main items that you may need. Your bread, milk, chicken, eggs, anything of that you may need is going to be on that list that gets updated weekly, and then it actually shares with you the store cost of it too. So that I think is a great tool to identify, all right, if I'm going to be spending my money on these items, how much am I going to typically look at? What is it in comparison to the city that you're in right now, which is the most important piece, and compare and contrast to see where can your dollar go the furthest. And I'll leave that in the description below so you guys can go ahead and check it out. But if you have any additional questions about anything, you see that number that is popping up right there, make sure to give me a call, shoot me a text, email, day or night, heck, maybe even on the weekends. Always remember one thing: I got your back in this market. However, at this point, you may still be confused and don't understand why is Raleigh so expensive. And honestly, it's really the tech companies. It's all the companies that are relocating. One in particular that hasn't even started yet is Apple. I learned not too long ago that Apple didn't even start construction yet, and they're planning to start in 2026. So with that being said, I think this video has literally a 2-year lifespan before I have no choice but to redo it, because I think everything is going to change after Apple really starts to do what they have to do. But the moment we've all been waiting for is to understand how to compare the cost of living to Raleigh to the current city that you're in, to see how far is it that your dollar can go here. And if you go to these websites here and type in the nearest major city, or maybe even the city that you're living in, and compare it to Raleigh, you will be able to see how does it compare and how essentially far your dollar is going to go in Raleigh, North Carolina. And while you're at it, make sure to drop it in the comments below so I can see where you guys are all tuning in from and how all the different areas compare to Raleigh. Because if there's something better out there, I sure as heck hope you guys will tell me. because you know I will. Because if you are open to other areas outside of Raleigh, maybe you are looking for maybe a more budget-friendly place area, I would say check out Angier, Benson, Clayton, Fayetteville. The only thing I would say with those individual places is you are a little bit further out than Raleigh's, but they may work for what your budget allows. And if you want additional areas to check out, I did a video not too long ago. It's actually called Uncover the Top 5 Best Areas Outside of Raleigh. Go ahead and check that out so you can get additional information on different areas to check out outside of Raleigh, because that's not all that exists here. But just as much as I enjoy making these videos for you guys, my name is Roney Polynice and I am a licensed realtor here and would love nothing more but the opportunity to be able to assist you with your relocation needs. So you see that number that is popping up right there? Make sure to give me a call, shoot me a text, email, day or night, hey, maybe even on the weekends. Always remember one thing: I got your back in this market.